All right, we are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're talking about an Anti LGBT Adoption Bill, all right, which is, I want to correct myself, on the desk of the governor right now. He has not signed it yet. He's indicated that he will. Several organizations have written him letters asking him not to do it. Abby Rubenfeld's with us this morning, an attorney who's very, I think, involved in this issue and concerned with it being something that becomes law in the state of Tennessee. And we're going to take some phone calls as well. We do anticipate, though, Abby, that if he does sign it, there will be a legal challenge, as it's happened in other states. Is that cheap?
I don't think so. I mean, there'll have to be state attorneys defending it, and then when we win, they'll have to pay our attorney's fees. And it's all so unnecessary. There's already protections for religious freedom. Adoption agencies can discriminate if they want. They just shouldn't take state money. And if they want to take state money, to me it's just a simple issue. You can do whatever you want within the law if you're not getting taxpayer monies. And we all have different beliefs, and I respect that. That's the beauty of America so far. But if you're going to use my tax dollars or your tax dollars, you don't get to discriminate. So that's seems simple to me. Okay,
and as far as not just folks like yourself and ACLU, but businesses, do you think companies and others outside the state of Tennessee see something like this and it can hurt the state economically?
Yes, absolutely. Before marriage equality, I got calls from people who were for example, one of our set of plaintiffs in the marriage challenge was a couple that got moved. One of the guys worked for a law firm in California that was transferring a lot of their support staff. They're moving them to Tennessee, probably because you can pay less here. I don't know why, but they're moving them. Well, the LGBT employees who were already legally married in California were like very upset about what's going to happen if we get moved there and about our marriages. Exactly. So I think it definitely hurts us, and businesses, large businesses, have already spoken out about that. And the bottom line to me is that it's completely unnecessary. We already have protections for like multiple levels of protection for religious freedom. These agencies, if they're acting within the law and not discriminating, they are protected. The intent of this is to allow them to discriminate and still get state money, and that's wrong and unnecessary. It hurts children.
Let's take some phone calls. We'll go to Cindy. Cindy, good morning. Hi, Cindy.
Good morning. I'm so glad Abby's back. What a sweetheart.
Thank you.
Anyway, I just want to say I'm glad she's back. And, yeah, they do have a right to get married and adopt children. I mean, why not? Because we have a lot of American children that need a loving home. So what's the big deal? And that's how I felt. But I did have a quick question.
Sure.
I know that LGBTQ means lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, but I don't know what the Q means. Any way that she can explain that, but I hope she does win, and I don't see any problem with it, because all women and men and bisexuals are happy to know in the beginning, like, hey, if somebody's hitting on a lesbian, she might not like that. Just like a gay, a bisexual, a gay man, he has a hard time telling you about it. And why are so many people famous, like Elton John and let's see, Ellen DeGeneres, and I go on and on and on. Some of them are strictly gay. How come they get to adopt children, even like Rosie O'Donnell?
It depends where you live, I suppose, is what that comes into. And thank you. And it's interesting, Cindy, just so you know, I mean, ardent Trump supporter. Republican, right. and so, I mean, this was passed by a Republican legislature, goes to a Republican governor where he's probably going to sign it. But I mean, there are Republicans like Cindy, I mean, who I think have that point of view, and so it's not just cut and dried across the board. But it's a good call from Cindy.
I understand that. And
can you answer that for her?
Well, I was laughing when she asked that because I didn't really know either. Maybe it's an age thing. I think it stands for questioning people who aren't sure about their sexual orientation or sexual identity, or it can also mean queer. A lot of the younger people, and maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe people my age too, have tried to reclaim that word that's pejorative, and people use it to attack us. But a lot of gay people have reclaimed that word queer as a more broad category for all of us who are like gender gender non-conforming kind of thing. So that's what it stands for, I believe.
Best guess on that, and if someone wants to correct us or add to that, that's fine. Let's go to Derek. Derek, good morning. Hi, Derek.
Good morning to both of you. Let me start off with this. As far as adoption, would I want a child to go to a traditional home setting with a man and a woman? Sure, I would. That's just my religious belief. But at the end of the day, there are children out there, just like the former caller said, that need a stable home. And if it's going to be 2 men or 2 women, as long as they have good ethics, they go to work every day, they can provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, I really don't have a problem, because it's better than them being in a foster home or whatever. But if they can provide, which I know this is possible and I've seen it before, then they should be allowed. But I think some people have in their mind that there's going to be just outwardly, you know how couples are making out all the time and the kid's going to watch this? Well, I grew up in a house with a mother and father. I never, ever heard or ever saw them being intimate. And I think that's something that's in a lot of people's mind, legislators or whatever, that they're just going to be intimate right in front of the kids, and the kids will see this, and then they may want to do this. I've seen gay couples, 2 men, where basically the little kid came in, he's got a crush on a girl at school. They applauded that. They were like, whoa, all right, well, what's she like, and da-da-da. They're not going to try to make that person gay, because you can't make a person gay. They're going to be what they are, and that's it. And you guys have a good day.
Thank you for your call. Yeah, okay, and there's someone, I mean, it seems to me when you get down into the nitty-gritty of it and you talk about the effect this actually have, and like you said, it just doesn't make sense on a lot of front. You say, okay, it doesn't. And these lawmakers who voted to pass it, okay, in general aren't stupid. Yeah, there's some stupid ones, but in general aren't. So why did they, knowing that it wouldn't have a massive effect? And it's just got to come down to politics. I think it's along the same lines of how it is sometimes with medical marijuana. They're afraid to go against it, even though they know it's not going to make a difference, because they can go back to their constituency, which by and large is very conservative, and they can say, well, I'm against same-sex couples having kids. Okay, and they can just say it on its surface that way. If they vote the other way, a challenger is going to come and say, well, he voted to allow gays to have children and adopt children, and it would hurt them politically.
I think you're right. And I also think that a lot of it has to do with messaging and trying to change what the narrative is, like promoting this and continuing to say religious freedom, like these agencies are being hurt when they're not. Like there's not religious discrimination here. That's just not what this is about. You can have any religious beliefs you want, but you can't use state money to perpetrate those views or to impose those. That's all this is about. And to the extent there is religious discrimination, there's already means for them to challenge it.
Now, is there some action also happening? No, I mean, Tennessee didn't necessarily have to do this. At the federal level, are they looking at doing something similar to this, to your knowledge? I mean, it says here that there's a proposal from the president to rescind an Obama-era rule that prevented foster care agencies from receiving federal funds if they discriminated against families based on sexual orientation or gender identity. That's something that's being looked at the federal level as well.
Well, so much for Trump's claim that he supports the gay community, right? Cindy needs to call him.
Okay.
About that.
On that, so I mean,
like you think of the problems we have in this country and the issues that are going on in the world, like that we're going to focus on hurting children and preventing them from being adopted into a loving home just seems absurd to me.
Yeah.
Like there's so many important issues that we could address right now.
It is interesting to me to think about many of these folks who object against same-sex couples, and they may have some reasoning and the tradition and whatever it is. But if you're going to sit there and tell me that heterosexual couples are perfect parents, you're full of it. You know as well as I do on a daily basis. It doesn't come down to gender so much and how good a parent is based on your sexual orientation. There are awful heterosexual couples out there that are parents. So don't tell me that the only way to go that's good is heterosexual. That's absurd.
I'm a divorce lawyer. I know all about that. Like, parents come in a spectrum, and it's not based on sexual orientation.
Don't
it's
tell
based
me
on
it
the
is.
person.
Yeah, it's like, it's got to be, heterosexual couples are the best. Really? Well, I can point out a bunch of them that are behind bars right now. We'll take a break. When we come back, more of your calls, 737-7587. Keep in mind, this morning we're talking on the issue with Abby Rubenfeld, who objects to this legislation. We are going to have individuals on the other side of the issue in a program coming soon. We'll take a break and be back with more right after this.